It's Subverted Tropes, a podcast about movies, featuring your hosts Daniel Spencer and Kate Harlow. Welcome to another episode of Subverted Tropes. I'm Dan.
I'm Kate.
And I'm Jenny.
That's right. Today we've got a guest. Jenny, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jenny. I am Dan's fabulous sister and a person that watches movies.
It's about as accurate as you can get.
Avid listeners will remember Jenny is the one who selected The Wicker Man for us.
Yes.
No regrets.
No regrets. So, today we're going to be talking about a, I don't know if I'd call it a Christmas classic, necessarily.
It's a classic.
It's a great Christmas movie.
Come on, we called Monos a classic.
Did we call...
You literally call everything a classic.
Term for classic.
Fine.
Also, you could say it's one of your favorites.
It is one of my favorites.
A phrase you say about most movies reviewed on this podcast.
That's fair.
But it is a good movie.
I like to be generally positive.
Yeah.
But, that's cool. Call me out. It's fine.
I'm just saying. You gotta, respect your own tropes.
Terror of Mechagodzilla. Not one of my favorites.
Not one of your favorites.
No, it's not. And I was discussing that with somebody today, and we didn't even say that it was a shitty movie, even though it was a shitty movie. We just said it was not for us.
We did have someone rip into us for not enjoying the movie because we didn't understand kaiju lore.
Yeah, kaiju culture.
Wow. Peoples is crazy.
Peoples is crazy.
Hi, crazy Peoples.
So today we're going to be talking about Scrooged. 1988. Classic.
Christmas classic.
Christmas classic.
Non-traditional,
although it does have traditional roots. Scrooged is a Bill Murray vehicle that has an updated kind of comic telling of Christmas Carol.
Bill Murray did a comic thing?
Yes.
What?
Although this is also the movie where he became an actor.
What?
We'll talk about that later.
Oh, I can't wait. What an intriguing promise.
So, shall we get into it?
Yes, let's.
Okay. So, 1984 was the year that Ghostbusters came out.
Mm-hmm. Our first episode.
A huge success. One of the top grossing movies of 1984. So, Bill Murray decided he wanted to take a break from acting. In 1986, he played a bit part in Little Shop of Horrors. He was playing a crazy patient of Steve Martin's demented dentist character when he was very excited for the pain that he was about to be receiving. Other than that, he hadn't been in a major role in 4 years. He was living in Paris and seriously considering giving up acting entirely. In 86, Paramount approached him to say, hey, we want to do a funny version of A Christmas Carol and update it. Do you want to be a part of it? And Bill Murray said, no.
That sounds like something he'd do.
And that's the end of the story.
That's the end of the story. Let's talk about the tropes. But yeah, so Bill Murray said, no, I'm not ready to get back into making movies. And he was actually approached with a lot of scripts because he's Bill Murray and a lot of people wanted him, but he kept reading the scripts and none of them were good enough to bring him back in. Until Paramount begged him. They're like, we really want this and we really want you for it. And he's like, okay, but I want to have some say-so over this script. And tore the pieces of the script out that he didn't like to the point of...
Had he not heard of Red Pen?
I don't believe he had.
He wanted to send a message.
It
was really about making sure the script knew it had done something wrong.
That is correct.
It killed a tree.
Yeah.
He and director Richard Donner both interviewed with Starlog magazine to talk about this movie a few years back. So he told Starlog that he tore up the script so badly there were parts all over his lawn because he
was trying to return the pages to the earth.
That's exactly what he was doing, and he was not particularly successful. They agreed to make some of the changes that he wanted to make, particularly emphasizing the romance a lot more and downplaying some of the assholiness of his character. but only a little bit of it because
Yeah, I was
obviously,
gonna say this is downplayed.
and really, he was not very happy with the family scenes, and thought that they didn't really do justice to a good family. So he wanted them to rework that as well. So then Paramount approached Richard Donner. Now Richard Donner is the director of several quintessential 80s movies.
Return of the Jedi.
No.
Okay.
The Goonies, Lady Hawk, Superman, Superman 2.
Oh.
Ripley just decided to attack.
You said Lady Hawk, and
I
she
did.
thought you meant her.
She is my Lady Hawk. All 4 Lethal Weapon movies.
Whoa, we're talking about the director of Lethal Weapon 3 right now.
Yes, we are.
Hold the fucking phone.
And Scrooged actually was sandwiched in between Lethal Weapons 1 and 2.
It's the unofficial prequel.
Yep. This is the step
essential
between.
part. I have a complicated one universe theory that just focuses around Lethal Weapon being in the same universe as Scrooged. You can go read about all the secret tie-ins on my website.
Do you want to plug that website?
LethallyScrooged.com.
Yep, that's perfect.
It's a real website. Please go look at it.
Let's.
It's actually .org.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm just so sad you didn't get .biz.
.biz.
Richard Donner expressed concerns about turning A Christmas Carol into a comedy, saying it's a thin line, but you have 2 of the most irreverent writers in the world writing the script. You have the most irreverent humorist since W.C. Fields working on this movie. He was not certain that they were going to be able to do a good job of it.
He then suggested they try it with Muppets.
You know what this needs? Muppets.
Eventually, they were able to convince him to sign on. And the rest of the casting fell together. Carol Kane, Alfred Woodard, Bobcat Goldthwait all agreed to be in it. And Sam Kinison originally was signed on to be in the movie as the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Oh.
But David Johansen was friends with Bill Murray, and Bill Murray lobbied for David Johansen to get the part instead. Fun fact about David Johansen, he also performed musically under a different name. That name is Buster Poindexter. For 80s connoisseurs, he's feeling hot, hot, hot.
Wow.
Which is amazing considering his role in this movie.
I do not remember his role in this movie very well, and I'm getting really excited about seeing this.
I'm very, very excited
I'm
to see
now
it too.
also officially on the podcast because there's a cat in my lap.
That's fair.
Yep, cat in my lap, officially part of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So
She's producing you.
She's producing real good.
Kinison was removed from the role, and Johansson took the part. And Bill Murray, in kind of typical fashion, was able to convince the studio to cast his brothers, John Joel and Brian Doyle Murray, in the movie as well, to play his brother and his father. And I forget the role that Brian Doyle Murphy plays, but Murphy, not Murphy. I say that every time. Brian Doyle Murphy. It's Brian Doyle Murray.
Yeah, you'll have to. I mean, I guess brother and father, I can notice that in the movie, but we'll have to make note of Brian Doyle.
There are a number of cameos in this movie as well. Paul Schaefer, Miles Davis.
Miles Davis?
Miles Davis.
I'm very intrigued.
So there's a pack of street musicians that are led by Paul Schaefer, and Miles Davis is another one of them in the movie.
Oh.
Donner actually expected the toughest sell of the cameos to be Robert Mitchum. So what he did was he was like, Robert, come in, meet with me. We'll bring Bill in. You can meet with Bill and see if you're feeling it. Apparently from the time that Bill Murray walked in the room until they left, neither Robert Mitchum nor Richard Donner got a word in edgewise because Bill Murray was just telling stories and they just wanted to keep hearing his crazy stories.
Sounds about right. Also, who is Robert Mitchum for the regular fan who doesn't know who that is?
Robert Mitchum is an actor.
Who is whom?
He was in Out of the Past, Heaven Knows Mr. Allison. Most importantly, The Night of the Hunter. It's probably one of his more recognizable
Gosh,
films.
he seems like an obscure person to have a cameo.
He's a fairly big name or he was in the 60s, 70s. So for an 88 picture, yeah, a little.
All right, we'll call it. I mean, for 88.
So, I mean, that would be like kind of equivalent to like maybe Stallone now.
Yeah, or like Brendan Fraser.
Him. Oh, that's way more obscure. Okay.
Yeah, would be a real good get if we could have a Brendan Fraser cameo in this movie. You know, it'd just be nice to have the audience be like, "Oh my god, was
He's
that?
still
I thought he
alive.
Brendan Fraser?" Well, I'm going to Google that when I get home. I'm going to find out if that was Brendan Fraser. I could have sworn.
I'm sure he died in 2011.
Yeah.
He just wishes he did.
Aww.
He's had a hard time.
So that fun meeting was where the good relationship between Bill Murray and Richard Donner stopped.
Uh-oh.
The two did not get along at all during production. Donner is fairly particular in how he makes his movies. Bill Murray likes to ad-lib and improvise. Those are not two styles that go well together. So Richard Donner had an interview with the Philadelphia Daily News saying that directing Bill Murray is like standing on 42nd Street and Broadway with the lights out and you're trying to direct traffic.
Wow. That's a great analogy.
It is a great analogy.
It is.
And Bill Murray was actually pretty unhappy during the filming of it as well, partially because Donner was really trying to like rein him in.
Yeah.
And also because he'd never been the solo star of a movie before. Everything he'd been in had been kind of an ensemble cast, like Caddyshack and Ghostbusters. Mm-hmm. So he talked about all the cameos and all the people coming in for like a day of shooting, but he had to be there every single day and have Donner tell him he was doing it wrong every single day. He says that it felt like failing grade school all day, every day.
Ooh.
Let me just say, cast and crew of this movie, a lot of good analogies here.
Right?
We're
Right?
seeing some good analogies from these individuals.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ghostbusters, they used the success of Ghostbusters to market Scrooged by saying the tagline was, Bill Murray is back among the ghosts, only this time it's 3 against 1.
Ooh.
Really doesn't really paint the picture of what's happening in the movie,
No.
per se.
But, you know,
In a very, very broad, generalized way.
Yeah.
it's a cute tie-in.
It's a cute
It'd
tie-in.
be like, did you like Ghostbusters? You'll also like this. It's probably not too big of a lie.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Was it released in June?
It was not released in
All right,
June.
then.
It was released November 23rd, 1988.
It's truth in advertising then.
All right. So there's one scene that was cut out from the movie that involved like a Picasso painting. So they commissioned 4 copies of the painting to be made. And then they decided to scrap the scene after they'd already made the paintings. So Richard Donner got 1 copy. Production designer J. Michael Riva got a copy. The original cinematographer, Conrad L. Hall, who got fired apparently 5 days into the filming process, got a copy. Would you guys like to guess who got the 4th copy of the painting?
Not Bill Murray.
I mean, that's accurate. It was not Bill Murray.
George Bush Sr.
It was not George Bush Sr.
Donald Trump.
Nope.
The Queen
I
of
feel
England.
like you guys have at least the right kind of like, well, maybe not quite that level of white
Mayor
supremacy,
Giuliani.
but, Mel Gibson. Richard Donner worked with Mel Gibson a lot in the Lethal Weapon movies, in Maverick, in Conspiracy Theory, I think. So he was friends with Mel Gibson and gave him a...
Do you want to copy this Picasso painting
Yes,
we had
I
made
do.
for a thing?
Yes, I do.
Cool. Do you hate
Whoa, hold on. Whoa, wait. What did you just say? What did you just say?
do you want to copy
What's the first word you're saying there?
Jew?
No!
Please speak to our lawyers about the Jewish comments.
Don't
Please.
sue us.
No, this was taken verbatim from a Mel Gibson.
Sue Mel
Speech.
Gibson.
So that's all I have for the first part. I've got some notes for after it, but do we want to go watch this movie?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't
Let's go
seen
watch
it in
this movie.
years.
And we're back.
What a delight.
That was great.
Isn't it? Like, it's just
It's so
it was
great.
really good.
Yeah, it was actually better than I remember. I think I
Yeah?
was expecting to go into it and be like, yeah, that was cute, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
There were some things that stood out as some issues, some problematic things, but we can
Yeah.
talk about that in a little bit. Mm-hmm. Before we get to that, let's hit on some of the other notes I wanted to talk about. As we had talked about, there was a lot of tension between Murray and Donner on this movie. And because of that, apparently they shot a crap ton of footage, that most of which got left on the cutting room floor. Bill Murray said that they shot a long and sloppy movie, and that there just wasn't room for most of what they shot.
Wow.
I
I'd love to
mean-
see some of that extra footage.
Yeah, all things considered, if there's that much left behind, or if it was very sloppy in production, it edits together to be.
I wonder if that's true of his other productions. There's just like 6 hours worth of Lethal Weapon footage.
Oh, you mean Donner's other productions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought you were talking about Bill Murray's other productions. I'm
Yeah,
like,
he was in Lethal
Bill
Weapon.
Murray wasn't in Lethal
5
Weapon
and 6.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. No, so Bill Murray said there was really only one take that Bill Murray felt was his own, and that everything else was Donner's version of Bill Murray.
Ew, that's not fun.
Yeah, he wasn't a huge fan of it. I mean, that being said, it was a great movie.
Yeah, he's great
it was
in
really
it.
good.
Yeah, I would be curious to see what other variations there were, but
Me too. Donner was so unhappy during the production of this that he said that he always parked his car so that it was facing the gate, so that he would have less time from ending work to get out of the studio. Like he would park his car pointing towards the gate so that he could just get in his car and
Yeah.
go.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
I
Because
mean
it's
that's
such a good movie. Like that
dedicated.
tension doesn't come across at all. But let's talk about Carol Kane for a minute.
Oh, can we?
I love her
Just
so
love
much.
her
So
much.
She's so great. This was a very difficult movie for her.
Because she doesn't like wearing a pretty dress and punching people in the face.
So one of those,
Just the punching people in the face?
yeah, no, she hated that.
Oh,
So they decided, like Bill Murray decided, is like, all right, so you're going to be like really physical with me. It's going to be hilarious. And Carol Kane decided, okay, but I'm not going to like pull any punches. Like I'm going to go for it. And Bill Murray was like, yeah, that's the right call. Like just fucking hit me if you're going to hit me. Carol Kane got really upset during a lot of takes and would break down crying afterwards.
oh,
Like several times, but like 20 minutes before she was able to do another take. Like was really upset with the idea.
Wow. That's like such a bouncy character to have to like jump back in. Like you think
Yeah.
if you were doing
Yeah.
a movie where you had to be like really physical and you were a miserable character, you could just like use it, but you have to just be like, yay! I'm
Yeah.
Carol Kane.
Yeah.
I'm gonna punch you in the face and then cry about
And
it,
I
and
think
then go back to this.
One of the reasons maybe she had a really hard time with it was because you know the scene where she grabs him by his bottom lip and moves and jerks him around.
Yeah.
So if you take your tongue and put it between your bottom,
No, she didn't rip that part of it.
she ripped that part right out.
Oh
They had to stop filming for 2 weeks while Bill Murray recovered.
Oh no!
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And she cried the whole time.
I would just cry the whole time.
Yeah.
If I were either Bill Murray or Carol Kane.
Oh no!
Just ripped that part, just separated it completely.
Ugh.
It was not great for either of them.
Whoa.
Still, I think their performances might be. Oh God, I don't know whose performance.
I mean,
is
that's
my favorite. Honestly,
probably my favorite part of the movie.
Carol
is the
Kane
two of
was
them.
really great.
She is really
She
great.
is.
Alfred Woodard was amazing.
Yeah. She just is such an interesting perspective on the Ghost of Christmas Present.
Mm-hmm.
I just like her take, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Bobcat Goldthwait also in this movie is
Also great.
Oh yeah.
just phenomenal.
Love it.
I will frequently quote the line, took my little baby daughter with her. Because it's a lot of fun. As I said earlier, this was the movie where Bill Murray became an actor, quote unquote. So that was Richard Donner's decision. It was his line that this is where Bill Murray became an actor. So they waited until the last shot for the movie, the last thing they needed to film was that big speech at the end of the movie. And Donner was very concerned that Bill Murray wasn't going to be able to really deliver it believably. But he did a great job, as you were saying.
Yeah, I was commenting during the movie how well that comes across. I mean, I think some of it's the writing and a lot of it's the acting, but that really does come across as a very like rambly, off the cuff speech and not as like a overwritten Christmas speech.
Yeah.
I guess that the thing to me, though, is that I feel like rambly off the cuff speeches are kind of Bill Murray's thing. And I guess maybe that wasn't so much the case back then, but I feel like that's his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
which I mean, like, not to disagree. I think it is incredibly well done, and I think a lot of it is writing, but
And he, like, you can see it, he gets teared up towards the end. Like, it's a really great performance.
Yeah.
And Donner was like, well, this is where he became an actor and not just a goofball comedian.
I guess if you're looking back on the other things that he's done, that's the first. I mean, if his previous work was Caddyshack, Ghostbusters, and Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, I guess that is probably where he sort of became an actor.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, he had a lot more of a serious role in this
Yeah.
comedy.
yeah.
Where he was still like very slapstick, goofy, crazy Bill Murray, but also had like some good serious stuff. So I would tend to agree. Let's talk about them solid gold dancers.
Oh, the solid gold dancers.
And their nipples.
So the line, I can barely even see those nipples.
I'm sorry. Them nipples.
I can barely even see them nipples.
Oh, no. Sorry. Jenny is going to get kicked out of the room with Ripley in a second because she just
That's about right.
knocked over some microphones.
But
Just
that line was ad-libbed, which is so beautiful. Because I can just imagine being an actor on a set and being like, I don't have a line here. Nipples.
My other favorite thing is that they must have had a censor. I guess you don't have a censor on a movie set, but they must have had some sort of ethics standards person who had to stand there and watch the ethics standards person just get
Repeatedly
injured and get and really be the butt of several jokes.
Yeah. And that I want to bring that up when we talk about tropes, but we'll get there. But yeah, it was just very, like, the role of that character was quite hilarious.
Yeah.
The Solid Gold Dancers, by the time this movie was released, their TV show had been canceled.
Oh, no.
And they were no longer performing. This was the last performance of the Solid Gold Dancers.
Well, after Mary Lou Retton tried to join, everything just kind of went off kilter.
Yeah, I really think they really brought a lot of dimension to the film.
Dimension, like
3D
third dimension.
nipples.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, nope. Yeah, they were a weird inclusion.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like they were like a way of commenting on networks just bringing in TNA for the
cast
sake
of
TNA.
Riverdale.
Yeah, I think it's important to think about all of this in the context of Christmas Story Live being the big hit of this holiday season.
Oh, that's
Yes.
a very good point.
Let us never forget there is a large network attempting to do a live Christmas show. I assume it will be interrupted by someone who has just had a Christmas Carol-esque experience.
Oh, God, I
hope
hope
it's
so.
Jane Krakowski.
Yes, one obviously hopes that.
I've just
but-
had a revelation. I'm just
I mean,
singing
if it's
everything.
not
Yeah.
her, it would have to be Maya Rudolph.
Can it be both of them together?
Oh, God, together, yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was some commentary on TV in the
Yeah.
course of the film, but
A little bit.
also the Solid Gold Dancers were in there as a cross-promotional reference at cross-promotion.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, the Solid Gold Dancers and Tab.
And Tab. Oh my God.
So much vodka and tab
So
in this
much
movie.
vodka and
I mean,
tab.
I
It's
really
really
think-
more vodka than Tab.
Yes.
It's
First
like
off, vodka,
3/4
and tab.
1/8 tab and
But-
the rest ice.
Also, I think if we're gonna Big Lebowski and really enjoy our White Russians, we need to appreciate the Scrooged vodka, and tab
Yeah.
as a real like cocktail of the movie connoisseur.
I
can't.
guess. How about this? To any of our listeners, if
We're old now.
we are,
I can't drink like when I was 19.
if any of our listeners happen to find themselves with a 6-pack of Tab and want to send it our way so that we can try some vodka, and Tab.
Don't. We will
Heck,
die.
if
We
you're
will
in-
die.
If you're in the Raleigh-Durham area, reach out. We'll come enjoy
We'll
some
join.
with
This
you.
Yeah.
will be the last episode of this podcast.
I'm 100% serious. If anyone has some Tab and is wanting to
Please don't.
share that experience with us.
Please
Listen.
don't.
We're gonna watch just the parts of Scrooged where he is drinking vodka tabs, which is easily 45 minutes worth of footage.
Easily.
It's going to be like a game of
And it's
Thunderstruck.
always when something
Yes.
bad is going on.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing up Thunderstruck, Kate. That was great.
It was great.
So,
Thunderstruck is a drinking game where you drink during AC/DC's Thunderstruck. And per the official rules, you are not supposed to start until the first time they say thunder, and then you are supposed to drink until the next time they say thunder, and then pass it along. This past weekend, Dan drank through the entire intro, which just it was a drinking game in which someone chugs a cider during the intro of Thunderstruck. And then everyone goes about their business and no one else drinks anything.
the idea was that we were going to be doing it as a drinking game, and I just forgot that you started after the first thunder. I thought the first thunder came like 5
Much
seconds into
sooner.
the song. And so I start chugging, and I'm like, well, I'm trying to like slowly chug to make sure there's some left for the next person to go, and that I boned it. I finished the whole thing.
I mean, it was a group boning. Really, it was you. It was you
Phrasing?
and Jake.
Phrasing.
yeah, it was something special. Anyway, let's get back to this movie.
Question.
Yes,
Maybe you have a note about this. Maybe you don't.
probably don't because I've got like one more note.
Okay. The Ghost of Christmas Past. His ears.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Well, they were
Hobbit ears.
They were Hobbit ears.
Is that because ghosts don't have ghost ears?
I think that is correct. Yeah. Also, I'm willing to bet heavy money that ghost had some hair on his feet.
I mean, yes.
Gross.
But like there's no note about that. There's no because none of the other ghosts had hobbit ears.
Yeah, no. But also, like, Ghost of Christmas Present had wings.
Yeah, but those were okay.
So I'm just saying, like, they were clearly all non-human.
We accept.
I mean, yeah, no, he
fine.
had some fucked up ears.
Fine.
Yeah, it's
fine. It's
interesting
fine.
that there's not a
Yeah, I didn't
reasoning
see
behind that
no
somewhere, but
notes behind that.
a
Nothing
lot of
to
artistic
explain it.
decisions in the world.
I mean, just ghost of what then?
Ghost of Christmas
No.
Past? Elf of Christmas
No.
Past? Ghost of Elfmas Past?
No.
So the last note I have before we get into the tropes, at the very beginning when we first see Robert Mitchum's character, and he's talking to Frank Cross.
For the listener, Robert Mitchum's character is the boss
Yes.
of Frank Cross.
Those
the-
were amazing prosthetics. Like that's just a super amazing makeup. I was thinking that the whole time.
for his boss?
Oh, not the,
Or do you mean for his
the
former
dead boss?
So that was Lou Hayward.
Okay.
Wow.
And yeah, no, that was really good makeup work.
It was super good.
But
Preston,
Preston
something.
Yeah.
who is the network owner or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was originally, basically, he was in the role that Robert Mitchum's character took over. But
Sorry, I digressed.
yeah,
Wrong person.
no,
Keep
so
going.
yeah, so Preston came to talk to Frank Cross, Bill Murray's character, and tried to encourage more pet-friendly programming.
Yes.
That was a good prediction of the future.
Animal Planet was founded in 1990.
I mean, I don't know when Animal Planet was founded, but do you have a Roku?
No.
Are you going to look up when Animal Planet was founded?
Yeah.
Of course you are. So the Roku channel, or the Roku device, has several channels dedicated specifically to cats and dogs and the things they like to watch.
Yes.
So you can, if you have a Roku, you can put on TV for your animal while you're out.
If you're my mom's dog, there's just a channel called Pigs Running because you just like watching pigs, but you specifically like watching them run.
That's right.
Don't know what it is, but he loves watching pigs run.
Okay, Animal Planet was founded in 1996, which is still 21 years ago. But
Yeah. It was 8 years after this came out. So, let's talk about tropes. So, I mean, we have the whole Christmas Carol trope.
Yeah, and more importantly, the story within a story trope, right? They are telling the story of Christmas Carol in a modernized version alongside the filming of a Christmas Carol classic version.
Yeah.
And they intentionally sort of line those things up. And I think there are plenty of stories that kind of go in that, like, paralleling the play to the
The show within a show.
Show within a show. The stage door
Yeah.
musical, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
there was the false opening of the movie.
The false opening. I love that so much. So, the movie opens at the North Pole as a bunch of terrorists are trying to take down Santa Claus. And who shows up but Lee Majors?
It's beautiful. I would watch that movie. Is the day or the night?
The night
the reindeer died. Yeah.
And then it segues and you find out it was just a preview for a movie. And that segues into this movie. The characters are just watching it. But it starts off and you're like, every time this movie starts that I'm watching it, I think, is this the wrong, what movie? I thought this is not how. And then I'm like, oh, right. This is how this movie starts. It's a fake out.
Yeah. Yeah.
The romance added to it is worth mentioning because that's really different
Yeah.
Yes.
from A Christmas Carol.
So yeah, in standard Christmas Carol, there's no rekindled romance at that point.
The woman was just waiting for you to apologize once trope.
Oh God. Yeah.
Overly
Problematic.
forgiving
Wrong.
girlfriend.
It's just bad.
Yeah. So the romance is really like one-sided. There's no reason for Claire to take Frank back at this point. He's been an ass several times.
Several times he looks her up and he calls her, leaves her a weird message. And she just shows up at his work like, I missed you so
Doe-eyed
much.
and
Also, she just shows up on a TV set and is automatically handed a visitor's badge.
Right.
Like, just like, oh no, I'm here to visit somebody very important. I know. Yes, I know his office is on the top floor, but I need to come into this TV studio right now.
yeah. It's a little disappointing.
That part is pretty trite.
Yeah. Cabbies drive terribly.
Cabbies drive terribly. That's an important trope to consider.
They do, though. Downtrodden assistant inexplicably has a huge number of children.
Yeah.
I mean, she really talks about her son. Well, no, I
She
think
has,
maybe
what,
she.
2 sons and 2 daughters.
Yeah, at least.
I guess we see that she lives with that many children, but I suppose we don't know that they are all her children. That could be.
That's true.
I guess, well, the woman that
that's fair.
she lives with, I think she refers to her grandmother. Anyway, I guess we don't know too much about her family situation, but that is, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's true there. But you had one that you mentioned earlier that you said we'd get back to. Said I want to talk about that when we get to tropes.
Yes. Well,
it
the censor.
Yes.
Someone just trying to do their job is seen as overbearing and therefore becomes the butt of several jokes.
Yes.
So she was just saying these outfits are too revealing.
We can see their nipples.
We can see their nipples.
You
and,
barely see a nipple.
like that's the only reason that she becomes the butt of all these physical gags. And then like, oh, she's trying to kiss this guy. How unfortunate must it be for that guy?
Yeah, that trope is particularly weird.
Yeah.
That she at the
Yeah.
end starts like
Aggressively
molesting
the tied up man.
the tied up man, and
Like-
because we're supposed to sort of generically dislike both of them, we're supposed to not feel too much about it, but just like in a gender flipped way, just imagining a woman who was trying to take over as a consultant being tied up and molested by a weird censor man. Anyway, I'm just saying,
No, it's an issue.
upsetting.
it's an awkward bit there.
And like we have no real reason to dislike either of those characters.
Yeah, neither of them have done anything like
anything wrong.
personally, like
evil, just annoying, I guess, in
Yeah.
a debatable way.
There is the problematic thing when Bobcat Goldthwait's character is talking to Robert Mitchum's character from the booth and trying to destroy the character of the consultant.
Yeah, the
guy.
LA guy.
And just like, oh,
Yeah,
what?
he said you're a
says
butthead.
He thinks you're cute.
Yeah.
And like
He's never felt this way about a
he's
man.
never felt this way
before,
about a
whatever.
man before. It's
Yeah.
like, oh great, it's a joke insult thing.
Homophobia joke.
Homophobia joke.
I also on the list of tropes which are now awkward, but then maybe not so awkward, is the hilarious going postal trope
Yeah.
Oh, God.
of just
Yeah.
like he's coming in his
I did-
workplace with a gun.
look what I did to that innocent window.
Yeah, 1988, real hilarious. Also, he has a shotgun, so just like 2 shots per 20 minutes while you wander around. He kind of chases you.
But also rounds in his pocket.
Yeah.
also rounds in his pocket. But you try to put a hilarious comedy jape where someone brings a gun into their workplace now.
Not gonna fly.
Not gonna fly.
Just before the censor goes after the consultant dude, that the thing that seemingly like inspired her for that was that whole awkward mistletoe
Oh,
exchange. Like, it's
Oh,
the law.
yeah.
No.
Right
No.
before Bill Murray
No.
confesses that he's madly in love with this woman that he ignored for 15 years, he says so.
15 years, yeah.
He totally kisses some random
And
hot
it's not
dancer.
even that he kisses her. She grabs
yeah.
his tie and
Yeah,
pulls
she's
him
like,
in
"Oh, this
seductively,
is
a great
though
idea."
There's no reason for her to do that.
This
He's
is
an
worth
executive.
mentioning. The unattractive man is treated as though he is attractive trope.
Yes.
All Woody Allen films.
Yes.
But a number of Bill Murray movies. He's not an attractive man. He's a very funny man. He's a very talented man.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he shouldn't be in movies as a leading man.
No, but it's the same thing that happened in Ghostbusters. Is that everybody's like, oh, he's so sweet. He just really cares about her. I'm like, no, he's a fucking creep.
He's a fucking
He's a
creep right
fucking
now.
stalker creep. It's not
And,
cool.
and people are treating him like he's reasonably attractive, and
He's not.
he's reasonably. I shouldn't be so shitty, but like he's not an attractive man. He's not I'm gonna pull you in by your tie and kiss you because I'm a solid gold dancer and I can't do any better than this man, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and so he's treated as this like
Yeah.
huge catch, and I just have like no idea why. And when he first meets Claire, she's a little bit like flustered, and he's flustered, and he should be flustered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she is super cute.
She's super cute, and also she hit him very hard in the head. But
As Kate mentioned early in the film, HD does not work for Bill Murray
it
so
does
great.
not. It does not work for him.
You get a lot of face dimension.
He had some bad acne. And like, far be it from me to criticize anybody for having like a perfectly normal skin condition that happens to like over 90% of humans, but doesn't photograph well.
Yeah, no, like the right side of his face was like really he had those
Dimpled,
pock marks,
yeah.
and it was weird.
And it's totally normal. And
It is
we're all
totally normal.
acknowledging
And that's
that.
the thing. That's
But
super
also-
thing. I've got those.
90% of humans don't make out with dancers.
That's right.
It's true.
Or with Karen Allen.
We're with Karen
They
Allen.
just have the common decency to know that they shouldn't be entitled to do such.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, one last, well, I don't know last
Yeah.
trope, but one additional trope is
Yeah.
the token woman board member trope,
That's right.
token
Yeah.
black man board member trope, Black
whole
man,
board was
worth,
just
worth
tokens.
mentioning, never spoke.
He
laughed a
chuckled
lot.
He
and
chuckled
got
a lot.
in trouble for it.
And woman flirted after Bill Murray and never spoke. Not that any member of the board spoke that much,
Yeah.
I guess, but we had
Only
some
Bobcat,
tokenism.
and he got fired.
And he got
So
fired.
that whole board was just tokens.
Yeah.
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 Good movie. I feel like we're tearing it apart
We're
at this point, but
and
you know.
I think that's one of the things that comes up in a lot of the movies that
Well,
we
that's-
talk about is that as we're analyzing into the tropes, like we pick out a lot of kind of problematic things. It doesn't mean that it's not an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
It just means that times are different, and especially now when the society as a whole is a lot more aware of some of these issues and the way that they've been systematically,
Called the fuck out.
called the fuck out. But like the way these issues have just been a thing for a long time without having really been realized that it's an issue, I think it paves the way for a lot of these sorts of conversations of, well, here's some issues with these movies, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not an enjoyable movie.
I think that the thing that we agreed on is that it's important to have these conversations and to acknowledge these things because that's the only way to grow from them. And we've said it before and we'll say it again. And we'll probably continue to say it for a long time. We have a lot of room to grow as a society.
Yep. That's about accurate.
Yeah.
So
Worth mentioning, his assistant was a great character.
Oh, she was.
She was awesome.
She was
She was really
depth.
great.
Yeah, she had depth.
She had some depth.
and-
Did her family have the same number of people as the Cratchits?
Probably, I wonder. I
Is
feel
was
like.
that I don't
Yes.
the Cratchits had
with the exception of the grandma.
yeah.
But I feel like maybe the grandma was the surrogate for Mrs. Cratchit because she was a surrogate for Bob. So
That's a very good point.
So I think
Yep.
her family was a good
Balance it
parallel
out.
to the Cratchits, and
Yeah.
she was a good character. She had a lot of depth. She wasn't one note as you could easily make a Bob Cratchit analog in the movie like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's fair.
good job, Scrooged.
Good job,
Woo!
Scrooged. I think that's probably all the tropes we have.
That's all the tropes I've got.
Think so.
All right.
That's all I got.
Jenny, thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
for
us.
joining.
Oh my gosh!
guys.
Thank you so much for having me. This was delightful.
We'll have to
Anything you
have you
want-
back to do Lethal Weapons
Yes.
1 through
Guys,
6.
a billion.
guys, look me in the eyes right now.
I'm doing it.
I can't look you both in the eyes, but I'm just going to
I'm
alternate.
there. I'm there.
We are going to watch Lethal Weapon 1 and 2 in a marathon and do a podcast about it.
Yes.
Done.
Thank you.
That's going to be
A plus.
a
Done and done.
There's going to be a
That'll be our Valentine's
patron
special.
specific, a patron only episode.
Ah, yes.
As soon as we set up a
As soon as we
Patreon,
set up a
account.
Patreon, you'll get access to our blooper reel and to this Lethal Weapon 1 and 2 episode.
So if you've enjoyed my witty insights, just get ready to put your money on the table and get some more.
So, Jenny, do you have any projects or anything that you'd like to talk about?
If you have enjoyed the delightful shenanigans that I have put forth here, you're going to have watch me do more delightful shenanigans as part of Third Date Improv, which performs in Durham on a semi-regular basis. You can check us out on Facebook under Third Date Improv. Or you can look at openmindimprov.com. I'm going to say that and hope it's right.
We'll put the links up on our blog.
There'll be links on the
We will.
blog. Check it out.
actually write a blog post this
We will definitely write a blog
Anyway,
post this week.
we
forgot
do
about
some
that.
improvs. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a very, very enjoyable team to watch. These four do not just improv comedy, but improv theater, I think is the phrasing that's employed. Is that right?
Yeah.
High quality. High
And
quality.
It's amazing the emotions that this team is able to evoke. They're my favorite improv team to watch.
We really get the silly bizarreness of Carol Kane and the emotional sincerity of Bill Murray's final speech.
Yeah.
Just all put into one improv show.
wrapped up in a big old Paul Schaefer bow.
Wrapped up in a bow of Paul Schaefer. He walks on to a lot of our scenes.
He
He
does.
does. It's really phenomenal. But no, seriously, check out Third Date. They're a great team.
Wow.
Phenomenal.
And as always, you can check us out. We're on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, pretty much wherever you find your podcasts.
Frumpna, Bourbon,
Yep.
Hoopty.
All those great
Will
podcasts.
That's my
Pod.
favorite app, guys.
You can always find us on Twitter at Subverted Tropes.
If you have any comments or any questions you want to send them to us and you don't want to do it in the Twitter sphere, you can email us at subvertedtropecast@gmail.com. And the blog that we just promised you is at subvertedtropecast.wordpress.com. As always, we want to thank our bespoke logo maker, Gracie Boland.
You can find her on Instagram at a fandom doodler or Etsy at that crazy princess. She is extremely skilled. She will take commissions for bookmarks and logos in our case and a lot of other things. She's very talented, so please check her out.
I think that's all we got, guys.
That's all that we got. Again,
Merry Christmas.
Jenny, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Merry Christmas.
Merry
and
Yay.
farts.